281 names, heroes in life, not death. Today we recognize and honor each and every one of them. Hello and welcome to the 25th anniversary of the Ontario Police Memorial Foundation Ceremony of Remembrance. I'm Julia Suppa. We are here at the Wall of Honor and Memorial Grounds, here to honor and recognize police officers in the province of Ontario who have lost their lives in the line of duty. The names of all known fallen officers are inscribed on the Wall of Honor, and this year, 4 new names have been added. OPP Sergeant Eric Mueller, OPP Detective Constable Stephen Taranjo, and 2 historical officers, Prescott Police Chief Edward Lavery and Metro Toronto Detective Sergeant Thomas A. Whitelaw. The Ontario Police Memorial stands forever, a tribute to the bravery and loyalty of Ontario's policing community. Let's learn more about the history of the memorial and the significance of the Ceremony of Remembrance.
There is no greater sacrifice than someone who's willing to lay down their life for the community. And the only way we can repay them is by revering them and honoring them and remembering them. The Ceremony of Remembrance is like a regimental parade whereby hundreds of people gather, including the public. It's an open venue for anyone to come and honor those who've given their lives. And we gather together on the first Sunday of every May at 11 a.m. to honor those officers who are on the wall. And moreover, and more importantly, I'd say, is those survivors of law enforcement line of duty deaths are there, and they recognize police officers right from across this province who come together in a show of solidarity and demonstrates our commitment to those families.
Yeah, we began probably around 1997 talking amongst the police associations that we really need to do something for all police officers killed in the line of duty in Ontario. The only place that any recognition existed was at the Ontario Police College. There was 2 walls, but all the names were not there. The current names were added, but the historical names were not added. So we began with a committee, and we all sat down and brainstormed. We all were in like minds. This has to happen. We started the build in November of 1999 and had it completed in time for the 1st May of 2000.
There's 281 names on the wall after this year. We're adding 2 historical officers and 2 active duty officers who died in the line of duty last year. And I think it's important that we demonstrate to them that these officers will not be forgotten and that we are there to support the families forever.
Iggy Puchka was the artist who we hired to design them. Our intent was the subtleness of the senior officer, the old officer saying, go forward, do your job, but don't ever forget these officers. We struggled with what were we going to put on the memorial. The Senior Officer Association representative on our committee came in with a letter from the widow of David Nicholson, who was a diver with Waterloo Regional Police. And the letter was to the Chief of Police saying, on behalf of our family, we want to ensure that you understand that David was our hero in life, not death. The 5 of us at that committee meeting each read that letter, and we each looked up and went, that's it. I counted up the other day, it was about 45 historical officers that we had found and ensured that they got on the memorial to pay respect to their loss to the community. I started in Kirkland Lake, Ontario, and when I transferred out of there 6 years later, I found out one of the officers well before me was killed in a traffic accident while on duty. That bothered me. 6 years of me policing that community and never knew we had an officer killed in the line of duty. So I took steps to make sure that never happened again. And I've transferred many different places. And I said, everywhere I go, I'm going to start looking into finding out if there's other officers killed in areas. And I just kept finding them. I still have one historical one. I guess I just can't retire from it. 1841. If it's approved by the board, it'll be the oldest police officer killed in Canada. There's a lot of history in Ontario, and a lot of it is captured on this wall.
Why is it important that we remember people who have died in the line of duty? And the simple answer is because we said we would. And there's a certain integrity that comes with policing, and I think it's important that it's the only way we can pay people back for paying the ultimate price.
All we ask for those that keep us safe are that they go to work each day and they come home safely at the end of the day to their loved ones. And we know that this is not always the case. That's why we're on these hallowed grounds, remembering people that gave their lives. When I have gotten to know the families of those that we've lost, nothing has changed my life more than understanding the sacrifice that they made. But it's not only understanding the sacrifice, it's understanding the lives that were lived. Everybody passes away, but not everyone lives. The people on this wall lived. They lived a life.
A death is always tragic, but if we can learn from it and get better and to ensure that other officers don't come to the same result, then it's a little easier on everybody to go, okay, we've learned from that. For the five of us that started all this, we always said it was like, this was our baby. We ate, drank, slept day and night until this was unveiled. I get goosebumps every time I talk about it. One of my proudest things is being part of building this memorial and being able to support the families of the fallen officers with this. And it's hard to believe this is the 25th anniversary.
We took an oath when we grabbed this job. We took an oath that's unwritten that we will remember those who put their lives on the line every day. And I'm proud to say that we do a great job in our police community doing just that.
Collingwood OPP Constable Trevor McKean was only 9 years old when his father was killed in the line of duty. His name, Sergeant Ronald McKean, was inscribed here on the Wall of Honor 25 years ago for the inaugural Ceremony of Remembrance. We sat down with Constable McKean to learn more about his father and why this memorial is so important to him, both as a police officer and a survivor of law enforcement family member.
I'm Trevor McKean. Legally, I'm Ronald Trevor McKean. And my dad was Sergeant Ronald McKean. On October 12th, 1977, my dad and his partner responded to a complaint that there was a man who was unlawfully at large. He had skipped out on a weekend pass from a correctional institute in Ontario. And he was seen at one of the local motels. My dad and his partner responded in the same vehicle. When they got to the hotel, they approached from different sides of the building. My dad made contact with the person he knew was unlawfully at large and was in the process of arresting him. What he didn't know was that he had an accomplice with him. When he exited the hotel, he pulled a shotgun on my dad, and there was a struggle for the gun, and he was shot and killed. I was 9. My sister was 13, and I have a brother who was 7. My brother and I were asleep. The police chief came to the house to tell my mom that my dad had been killed on duty that night, and she allowed us to sleep and didn't wake us till it was time for us to go to school. So we woke up at a regular time, get dressed, get ready for the day. And my brother and I were sitting at the kitchen table, had a bowl of cereal, piece of apple pie. Very unusual. Every morning, the local radio station was on, but that morning it wasn't on. And my grandmother was there. And again, not something that would be normal. My grandmother wouldn't normally be at the house. And so as we ate our breakfast, my grandmother was standing silently, her arms crossed, and she was looking at the floor. When we finished our breakfast, Mom took us into the living room, sat us on the sofa, and that's when she told us that Dad had been killed. The town of Collingwood has dedicated a street, McKean Crescent, in one of the new subdivisions in his memory on the Pretty River Parkway, the bridge that goes over the Pretty River. That's a memorial bridge to his name. And at the detachment, we have a memorial garden outside the front of the police detachment that's named in part in his honor. And there's a memorial in the front lobby of the police station as well. Policing is a profession I've always had a great amount of respect for, even as a young kid and a teenager. Certainly when I was in high school, that was my goal. That was what I wanted to do. I really enjoy helping people. I am very aware of the risks associated with my profession, and I don't take those for granted. And those risks didn't make me change my mind. In January, I started my 34th year. I've worked for 3 different organizations, and I'm very proud of all 3 of them. I had an opportunity to come home in April of 2002, and I've been here ever since. I've walked the same beat, I've on the same streets where he did, probably done calls at the same homes. Particularly when I was new here, people would tell me that they knew him, or tell me a funny story about, him catching them drinking and taking them home and then banging on the door and running away giggling while their parents came to the door. It was some pretty big shoes to fill. It gives me some comfort that his sacrifice has been recognized in the community, and the community recognizes it in a way that generations to come will know. Nobody goes to work and expects to not come home. It is a reality for some professions, policing being one of them, but that's not what we want. And so in some way, it helps us come to grips with the sacrifice that he made. We missed out on holidays, weddings. He missed out on being a grandparent, and the fact that he's been memorialized there, and we pay tribute to that sacrifice, is somewhat comforting as for the family. It's important for us to recognize or to know that their death meant something. I have been to many police funerals. I think it's important for the family to know that the death, although tragic, means something. I have friends and coworkers who are also on that wall. As a police officer, it's a nice time to go and reflect and remember our friendships and our friends, and to know that what we do has purpose. I think that he would be pleased with my chosen profession, and yeah, I think he would be happy. I think I've done it right. My dad loved being a police officer, and so do I.
Thank you, Constable McKean, for sharing your story with us. Heroes in life, not death. We've learned the origin of this phrase, and you will hear it repeated through the ceremony today. It's engraved on the Wall of Honor and featured on the Ontario Police Memorial pin. Solid pewter and black is worn by members of the policing community and supporters, while family members of the fallen will have a white trillium on their pin. It's just one of the ways family members are recognized through the Ontario Police Memorial Foundation. As we've learned, honoring family members of the fallen is a commitment of the OPMF. And for Lianne Hoving and Nancy MacDonald, this ceremony of remembrance means so much.
Mark died in the line of duty on November 19th, 2020. Mark was well known for de-escalating situations at work, and I think he had done it hundreds of times and was trying again that day to de-escalate a situation and was killed in the line of duty. We live on Manitoulin Island, and you think it's a safe place, right? And that never really crossed our minds at all. It's such a peaceful place. He loved his job. I had actually just asked him just a few months before, like, do you still enjoy your job? And he said yes. And he was 2 years away from retirement, and he was looking forward to that too. It was an ocean of love. And it was like, really, it was across the country, and the island, just incredible, the outpouring of love. I didn't make supper for like 2 months, and lots of meals, lots of love, incredible support from the OPP family, our community. We just really felt like people were grieving with us too, which was beautiful.
My husband was Constable Joe MacDonald. He was killed in the line of duty in 1993 while we were living in Sudbury. He worked for the Greater Sudbury Police Service. He had been on the job for 5 years, had graduated with a criminology degree. His dream was to be a police officer, had 2 children. At the time that he was killed, we had a 2.5-year-old and a 3-month-old, 2 daughters. Joe was 29 years old when he passed away, just before his 30th birthday, a few months before. He was a wonderful, great guy. He was our everything. It's been 31 years for us as a family. My daughters are now 33 and 31. For them, this is the way of remembering their dad, and we keep him alive. In our conversations, they learn all about who their dad was because they don't have memories of him, which is even more difficult.
It's a beautiful, powerful way to remember all the fallen officers and to honor them. And it's also just comforting to know that this happens every year. And, like when we might be long gone, like people will still be remembering Mark and the other officers who have died in the line of duty.
Survivors of law enforcement are a group of widows and widowers that come together to share our life experience. So it's an organization that's been in existence since 2011. And we are becoming organized in the sense that we provide each other with resources and education and knowledge on how to navigate grief in the line of duty death. I hope that we can provide hope for one another, that even with extreme grief, life is beautiful, and to really try and make the best of it that we can for our families.
We're a tight group. I always say it's a group where there's a good section that you don't even have to explain how you're doing, because they know, they've been through it. To see these other widows who, have gone through this, it gives you hope and it gives you comfort.
The Ontario Police Memorial Foundation and Planning Committee have worked really, really hard over the last 25 years for this beautiful ceremony of remembrance. And to be here is just a reminder how they are not forgotten. Our loved ones are not forgotten.
Yeah, you don't want to forget, right? Mark was a father, a husband, brother, and this is such a beautiful way to remember and to honor. And you don't want any of these officers to be forgotten.
Thank you, Leanne and Nancy. Each year, the Ontario Police Memorial Foundation must raise funds to cover the costs of maintaining the names of the fallen officers on the wall, as well as hosting family members of the fallen and police members to the annual Ceremony of Remembrance. If you are able, consider making a donation via e-transfer to donate@opmf.ca. Thank you for joining us for the 25th anniversary of the Ontario Police Memorial Foundation Ceremony of Remembrance. In just a few moments, the ceremony will begin. First with the honor roll and reading of the names, followed by the regimental parade, and then the official ceremony. I'm Julia Suppa. It has been my honor sharing these very important stories with you and recognizing our heroes in life, not death. Thank you for watching.